Hello, everybody, and welcome to Late Night with Kettle Kitchen and BLOO. We're glad you're here with us. We have a special show tonight. I think people are going to get some good information. So let's go ahead and get started, and then we'll come back.
Yes.
I was wondering if you were going to get that on before it came back on.
Yes, I did.
Oh, you cracked me up.
I knew I was watching the little bathroom.
Okay, so our show tonight, as you've seen in the description, is about rebel canning, but I think it's going to come from a different point of view, and I have to be upfront and honest, which I will once we bring our guests up, because I think that they whether they know it or not, they inspired this show, and for good reason, though. I think that in the end,
they're awesome.
They are.
And they're not scared to have the conversation. And I think a lot of people are scared to have the conversation, and they're not able to have the conversation without staying friends. And that's what we're doing today. Is we're having
I'm laughing because all I see is Monica. Okay, we're going to go ahead and bring our friends up, and then we'll have the conversation. So here we go. Okay, we have Monica from Bland's Promised Land Ranch. And that's Bland's with an apostrophe S and Promised with a D.
Yes, that you're getting that good.
I'm getting that good. I double checked myself now just to make
sure. You got it.
We have Mr. Cayce from Ormsby Farms. Hello. We have Miss Heather from Milk and Honey Heritage Farms. And the elder in the house. She said it this morning, not me. Sandi from Suburban Homesteader, Wyoming, Arizona. Hello.
Hello.
Okay, so and in all honesty, you guys understand what I'm referring to. I'm not sure everybody does, but I want to give everybody an opportunity to talk about around the hay bale. But we'll get to that in just a second, okay? I want each of you, if you would, other than BLOO and I, most people on this channel know Heather, but I still give Heather an opportunity to do it as well. Tell everybody who you are, what channel you're from, and if you could, include something about the other thing you guys do together, the three of you. Well, there's actually four of you, but we only got three of you tonight. And how long it's been going on, so people know about that as well. So we'll go ahead and start with Monica, since you're up on the top row. Why don't you go ahead and start?
All right. So I am Monica from Bland's Promised Land Ranch. And I don't remember what else I was supposed to say. No, and I'm with Round the Hay Bale, and we've been doing this for like 5 seasons now. And we kind of get together on during the week, and we record some podcasts, and we talk about all kinds of great stuff, and it's a lot of fun. And Cayce can tell you more about that, because he's kind of like the leader of the pack, if you will.
Okay. Well, as the leader of the pack, Cayce, when we come to you, which we'll come to you next, you guys have had changes in the podcast. So could you kind of elaborate a little bit on that so people know that as well? Because you guys started with a whole different group of people. I mean, you and Monica were there, but there was 2 other people altogether, wasn't there? Or was there 3 when you first started? That's okay. That's right.
Yeah. So when we first started, it was Cayce and I, and Alicia from Country Mama Musings, Lisa from Yogi Hollow Farm, and Lady Boots, which it's just Cayce from Boots and Bounty Homestead. So we started as 5 of us, and we started this podcast. And I think it was the end of 2020. Yeah.
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 Yeah, we're like, what? Has it been that long?
Since episode 1, it was definitely the end of 2020.
Yeah, it was the episode of 21. Yeah, end of 2020. And so we've been doing this for almost 4 years together, and it's been great. I mean, we've talked about so many things. I think that in the beginning, we were really more of a broad. We kind of covered things more broadly. After the first season, Cayce from Boots and Bounty had to kind of back off on some things. She had a lot going on her plate. And then we had some changes, and Lisa from Yogi Hollow Farm kind of went out of the picture for us too. And it was just us three the season before. And then we had Miss Ann join us, which was excellent. And now we have Miss Sandi and Miss Ann. So it's been really a lot of fun. I mean, we've had such a great time. And this season, we really are getting really more specific with our topics. And I feel like this is probably the most fun we've had.
I want to let you know, because I used to watch it not when you first started. I think it was the second year you guys started, because I found out about it more than I had before. The mood is different, if that makes any sense. And that's not a negative towards anybody. It's a different dynamic when you get different people together. I get it. But you guys seem more topic orientated, if that makes any sense. So I like it. I think your guys' changes are great. So
yeah, we're having a good time.
Cayce, your turn.
Well, really what Monica didn't say is me and Monica are huge divas and ran everybody off. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. No. It just happens. I think a lot of people questioned a lot of why we lost hosts so quickly, but I think it all was meant to be for Ann and Sandi to come, because the four of us do mesh so well together. And it's not saying anything against our other hosts that we had, but it just kind of fits. And when it fits. And I think the listeners can feel it too. So I'm Cayce from Ormsby Farm, the loud one of the podcast, the opinionated one, as I'm sure you can tell. So yeah, what
he
else?
Likes his evening nightcap and his Doritos. I just want everybody to know that. Okay.
I'm actually just drinking soda tonight. I'm really boring.
No more Doritos. We're ketoing it up, so no more Doritos.
No, it's terrible. I had one more the red bag left, and I was like, well, I have to, show it some love.
Get it out of the house. You might as well eat it, right? I get it.
Yeah.
So to follow up, would you agree with what Monica said as far as the changes? You think that you guys are in a great place now and things are where you want them, I'm assuming?
Absolutely. Yes. And spoiler alert that Sandi is staying with us for another season. So that's a big spoiler alert. So we can't get rid of her. But no, we're having a lot of fun on this season. And we did do a lot of broader topics before. And I think making the decision to kind of hone in or dig deep in popular topics that people may Google or search on YouTube, I think was a good decision. And it gives the listeners a time to hear me, Sandi, Monica, and Ann, and see that we're actually not just a pretty face, that we do have some knowledge behind what we preach on our channel. So I like that part of it. So
there is no modesty with you whatsoever, is there?
Not a stitch. Not a stitch of it.
I will say I think it's really been good this season too, because in some of our upcoming episodes, you'll hear there's times where Miss Ann is like, I don't know the first thing about what we're talking about. And it's great because I always think it's awesome to come from a place of not having any knowledge and learning from your peers right there, like live, like in the podcast.
Ultimately, isn't that kind of what we're all after, is to teach somebody, to help them learn to pass
Exactly. And there's a whole nother episode where we're getting ready to release soon where we talk about another type of canning, and I have no idea what to do. And they're all teaching me how to do it.
That's
like
good.
In the middle of the podcast, I'm learning, and I've now applied it, but it's definitely been a fun season so far. And I'm excited to kind of get into new topics and talk about new things because we really are learning together too.
Well, that's good. I will admit something, and only probably Cayce and maybe Monica know about this. There was an offer out there at one time, and it was the one offer I regret not picking up, and I'll leave it at that. So it just didn't fit in my time period at the time was my biggest problem. So anyways, That being said, I'm not intentionally skipping over you, Heather, but I'm intentionally skipping over you, Heather, because I want to hit Sandi, who's the third part. Let's do it this way here, and then we don't have to worry about it. There we go. Sandi, see, I didn't skip over. I just moved her out of the way.
It's kind of starting to look like the Brady Bunch over here, you know.
Okay, Sandi is the third of the fourth that are a part of this group. Sandi, please let everybody know who you are, what channel you are, and something about the podcast and how that's been for you.
Okay, I'm Sandi from Suburban Homesteader, Wyoming, Arizona. I am the newest host with season 5 Around the Hay Bale. And it was a thing that I just felt that I was supposed to be part of. So I reached out and I said, you know, maybe I'm stepping over, maybe you're not interested, you won't hurt my feelings. But I would just like to be part of Around the Hay Bale. And it has just been, it's been a fabulous season so far. And in fact, we've announced that we're doing extra episodes this year. And so we'll be, pre-recording and doing our Fridays basically through the rest of the year. So it's very exciting. And I had watched Round the Hay Bale, and I had been guests on Round the Hay Bale on different seasons, things that we talked about. Mm-hmm. And I'm the oldest in the group.
She states that herself. I want everybody to know that. I was not attacking her age, okay?
I think Sandi's just seasoned is what that is.
And I agree with you.
Yes, I agree.
But I have really liked that. We can do specific topics. I've liked that, we do our Monday podcast that we have pre-recorded. Mm-hmm. And then on Friday, we have a live show that you actually see us. And people have watched the Monday program. And so then they come in and they ask more questions because they know what we're talking about. And they'll go, like we've talked about raising chicks, raising ducks. They ask questions. If we don't know the answer, we tell them that we will find out and let them know. And it's really been a great exchange. And I can't even say how fabulous our all of us are together. It's just so much fun. And it's all a learning process. And I love the other hosts, but everybody has a season.
Yes.
And they didn't leave because they were mad. They didn't leave because of anything negative. It was just a different season in their life. And so we appreciate how much they worked and how it built till now we're at season 5.
Yeah. And I'm glad you put it that way because I didn't want to imply there was ill feelings in the changes. That's not what I was trying to say. If it come across, please don't take it that way because I do agree with you. I think as it is with anything, everybody's got their time and their place. And if it's not your time and your place, then it's not your time and your place. It's just the way it is. All right. Anything else on that before we move on the podcast or your guys' 3 channels?
Hi, Ann. I know she's listening. She couldn't come tonight.
Ann.
Hello.
Ann's a humongous celebrity, and we never can tie her down.
She is. She's very big. She's very big on the internet, the Instagram, the internet. She's very big. She's very famous.
Yes.
Yeah, the Pyro Granny. She's very famous.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but I will say,
no, seriously.
Yeah, they call her Pyro Granny.
Tony. I'm serious. You should see her on TikTok, mate.
Okay. All right. I'm going to have to go check that out when we're done.
Well, I will say that once Round the Hay Bale reaches 500 subscribers, which we're like halfway there, then we're giving away a couple prizes. So yeah, like we need to get our subs up on that one. So
yes. Nice.
Not that I can say that, but if you haven't checked us out, you should check us out.
Oh no. This is about you guys. Everybody on the panel, it's about you. So exploit your links as much as you possibly can.
Round the Hay Bale channel. Look it up. Round, starting with the R, not a round, but just Round the Hay Bale.
It's very redneckish when you talk like round the hay bale.
Yes.
That's exactly it.
Okay, so just for curiosity, I don't know if you guys have disclosed this or do disclose this. Do your listeners know where you guys are located? Okay. would you mind telling our listeners, just so that they know, that you guys are not living, or not, you're not living, 10 miles from each other. That is not how this works. Yeah. So I know. Oh, go ahead.
I'm from Wyoming. Half the year I'm in Arizona. So I live both places.
Okay. And Monica?
I'm in Texas.
And then Cayce?
I'm in the sticks of Georgia.
And Miss Ann is in North Carolina.
North Carolina. So they don't reside even in the same state as each other. Nope. Two of them. So
which is really nice, because when we're talking about stuff, we have different weather, different soils, different experiences, and you can bring that all in, and we can agree, not agree, and it's still great.
There's a lot of learning involved. And before I moved to Texas, I lived in Maryland, so I've gardened in the Northeast, a little Northeast, Northeast here, and then I've gardened here. So I have two different gardening experiences for myself as well. So yeah, it's been fun. It's been fun talking about where we, in relation to where we live and what we're sharing.
And I can tell you that usually most people will see Monica with her better half with her as well, which is Eric. And I had to stop going to your guys' live for a couple weeks. You want to know why?
No. Why?
Every time I type your name in, I typed it Erica and Monica.
You totally call us Erica. See, there he is. There's us right there.
Who calls him Erica except for me?
Right there. There we are.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, you know what's funny is a lot of people have called him Erica over the years, which is really funny, because they say Monica and Eric, and they'll say Erica, and he has been called Erica so many times.
I don't feel bad then. That's okay.
No, doesn't even faze him anymore.
Okay. So let's move over to Miss Heather. Miss Heather has been on this show many times. She's not a part of Round the Hay Bale, but she is a good friend of the channel.
Hey. Oh, just kidding.
Okay, there you go. So go ahead and let everybody know who you are. I love Heather to death because she's only 8 hours away from me. That's the closest friend I got on the internet.
And I have
on YouTube.
So I'm Milk and Honey Heritage Farms, and I kind of do a lot of different things: cooking, farming, chickens, honeybees, sewing, crafting. I don't know. Lots of
everything.
Things. Yeah, lots of things. I don't know what else to say.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
I've been on here a little over a year.
Mm-hmm. And we love seeing you. And she is a very important part of our group. I know that. She is involved in everything we do. So that's wonderful. Okay, so I need to give everybody a little heads up where this comes from, because this isn't my idea. Quote, air quotes there. I was watching the latest podcast, and it was about rebel canning. At least that's the one I was attached to. Okay. I think you actually have another one that's out on
Monday.
What comes out
Monday.
Part 2
comes out on Monday.
Comes out on Monday. So what you will see is only one part of the conversation from their end of it, but it was about rebel canning. Okay. So in hearing what they had to say, it just seemed like there needed to be another side to the story, for a positive reason, not for a bad reason. And we talked about this before we jumped on here, and I want everybody to know we are adults. We can have a conversation, and each one of us can have a different opinion. It doesn't mean that we can't talk, we can't disagree, we can't do any of that, but we all are still friends, and the conversation carries on just that way. This is not about bashing anybody.
Having a grown-up conversation.
Yeah. What's that?
Hey,
is that a real thing?
Behind. Hey,
I will be honest with you, and I want to step back for a half second. Me and Monica have had this discussion many times, and not always ended on it's ended on good terms. Neither of us mad at each other, but Monica at the time was very much in her position, and I was very much in my position. But it wasn't mean. It wasn't berating or anything like that. We just had two different opinions about it. Okay. I've evolved. I'm going to be honest with everybody right now. I have changed to a point, but there's multiple reasons behind that. Okay. I want everybody to know when it comes to rebel canning, I'm not here to say you're right or you're wrong. All I ask is that you're safe about it. Okay. Which I know for sure Monica and Cayce are. Sandi, you've never demonstrated to me that you weren't, so I would never have that opinion, nor has Ann Dale. I mean, so I didn't have I'm not coming into this conversation assuming something, if that makes any sense, and I'm not trying to assume something. Okay. In all honesty, when I started, hate me for it right now, but I'm going to show you. I started reading with this as soon as I got done with your guys' podcast this morning. And I have tabs, I have color codes, I have highlighted, I have 5 pages of notes I wrote down. Oh yeah. I went down a rabbit hole and I stayed in there buried. Okay. Here's where I'm at, though. None of that really matters. Okay. Because it really comes down to you. Sorry, I'm stealing a thought process here. You do you, boo. What you do in your own house is your business. I could care less. I don't want to be in your bedroom. I don't want to be in your church. I don't want to be in your house. I don't want to be in your doctor's office. It's not any of that. That isn't where I came from. I learned it a specific way. That's the way I thought was the right way. And that was the only way. Okay. There's a little story that kind of goes along with that. Me and BLOO mentioned it to you guys before we started. Me and BLOO met each other from Jam It Up June the very first time. And I invited her on to do Jam It Up June, and she was very hesitant to do it because their practices are not the same as ours. Okay. As the conversation continued on, I very quickly learned there's only 3 countries that do it the same way we do it. Everybody else does it the other way. Okay. My only concern is that everybody does it the safe way. That's my concern. Okay. And I will even go one step further after listening to what you guys had to say. And I will give you guys opportunity to talk. I'm just trying to get my blah out there and then we'll go into it. Okay. I decided I'm taking the part out of all my collaborations that if you use an electric pressure canner, you can't do a video. That needs to be your decision, not mine. Okay. This is about how do we come together and live and respect each other and move on more than it is I'm right, you're wrong, or vice versa. Yeah. Okay. And that's why I made the statement in the beginning. This isn't about hating on anybody or being mean to anybody, because we all come from a different opinion. Okay. We all have different approaches. I'm sure even though Cayce and Monica are really good friends, they do things differently than each other in different aspects. Okay.
No, we're twins, completely twins.
Maybe they
all the time. Ask Eric. He's going to be like, I didn't know if it was Cayce or Monica that I saw yesterday.
The other, so in having you guys up here, there was and I was glad BLOO was able to show it because I wanted BLOO's other country perspective. We needed to have that because I think that's important. Okay. I wanted Heather's perspective because I know how Heather does her stuff. Okay. Coming at it from an angle of how do we work together and move forward out of this. I think the truth of the matter really comes down to how do you do it? Now I've only got 3 questions that I need answers to that I can't get over. And maybe these are questions primarily probably for more Monica and Cayce than they involve you, Sandi, because I know yours is, you kind of are a by a book person too, correct?
Yeah, I don't own an electric pressure canner.
Okay.
I've looked at them lots of times.
Right.
It's not like I won't buy one.
Right.
But I have 3 pressure canners.
Yeah.
And but
there's a spot right behind you, Sandi. I'm looking right at it.
Did we hear this morning?
We talked about the peer pressure.
Yes. But you come from an approach of kind of by the book. is the way you do it. I've seen your video, so I know most of what you do is by the book.
Yeah, though I probably can things that other people wouldn't can.
True.
But I think that's a lot of your experience. The more you're comfortable with how you're canning, the more you'll go, I'm going to try this. Maybe it will work, maybe it won't work. But if it does work, then I'll probably repeat that.
Right. I want to read something, and I looked at, and it's AI generated, so don't hate me for it. I didn't want to have to quote anybody, so I just went with it. Okay. But it really spelled it out. I am not insulting anybody because it used some phrases in here that might be insulting to people, but that's not what I'm trying to do. Just hear what it has to say and take it in for a second. Okay. What is rebel canning? Rebel canning is a term used to describe people who preserve food in ways that may differ from government recommendations. Okay. This can be for a variety of reasons, though. Preserving family traditions, which I think a lot of people do follow that because of that. That is probably number one, in all honesty. Prepping for short-term needs or long-term needs. And without going into a lot of detail, you can kind of figure out what I'm saying there. Questioning the industrial food system. Okay, well, there's your rebel word right there. Here's the one that I found humorous, and I hope I don't insult anybody. Rebel canners can be doomsday preppers, and on the same hand, they can be hippie homesteaders. It doesn't matter. Doesn't that about sum it up right there? I mean, you could be one or the other in between.
Yes.
Whatever.
Well, I'm trying to figure out who Tony thought was the doomsday and who was the hippie.
He thinks I'm the doomsday prepper, mate.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think I'm the doomsday prepper. It's fine.
I'm going to go with she's the doomsday prepper, and I'm going to say simply Jan is the hippie homesteader.
Yeah. I think we all can agree on that one.
That's safe. She will agree with that, so I don't have issue with that. Okay. The point I'm trying to make is that it's not even really a true definition, in all honesty, other than you differ from government regulations or recommendations. I think that's the plain and simple of it, because Tammy says, what about the doomsday hippies?
That's a closer description to this, to be fair.
That works. That works.
Yeah.
But I think in reality, however you do it, the way you do it, as long as you're being safe, it doesn't really matter, because when you really get down to it, you can water bath, you can pressure can. Now, some of these are excluded for BLOO because they don't do pressure canning over there like we do here. But you can steam bath can. I could go on and on because there's a list of different ways you can do it. When you start straying away from those three, though, water bath, pressure can, steam bath canning, you have a tendency to really get more into continuing family traditions because of the way things are done or set up. Hello, Eric. How are you?
He's thirsty. He's thirsty. Look at that jug.
She's thirsty. She's got herself muted so she ain't laughing on screen.
He's pouring me a drink. I texted him and said, "Would you bring me?"
I love it.
Even
that's a good husband right there.
Yes, it is.
You say hi.
He's like, "Hi, I'm out of here."
Yeah.
Sorry.
The other thing I want to go into is really, I want people to just understand, and some of this is going to be, the discussion will get heated, so I'm just going to throw things out there, but I'm not trying to keep it heated, so I'm just throwing it out there and moving on. Okay. In the US, what we've been hit with is botulism, the B word. Okay. And really what it comes down to is that botulism isn't really the problem. It's the toxins created from the botulism that become a problem. Okay. And there's a problem with that. Botulism is found in seawater, lake water, and soil. Okay. Most of your fruits and vegetables have botulism on them, but they don't contain the toxins because they haven't been closed off from oxygen. Botulism grows from the lack of oxygen. That's how it spreads. Okay. Or the toxins do. Let me rephrase that. There are 7 types of botulism. They're categorized letters A through G. A, B, E, and rarely F are human, and the rest are non-human forms of botulism. Okay. For us specifically, there's 2 primary ways that happens. It's foodborne or it's infant spread. Okay. The problem with infant spread is a whole nother conversation. We're not going into that. Okay. But the other 2 are wound and inhalation. So you breathe it in or it gets into a wound like a staph infection would or something like that. Okay. We're here just talking about the foodborne part of it. Okay. Now, not going into it any more than that. From a conversation BLOO and I had a long time ago, she said, here's the problem. You guys worry so much. And I'm paraphrasing. And if I'm incorrect, please correct me, BLOO, but I'm going off of what I can remember. You guys freak out about botulism, but you don't talk about E. coli, salmonella, or listeria, or the other things. That's not a paramount issue for home canners. That's not, it's always botulism. Am I correct in saying that, BLOO?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
When I went back and looked at it, there's a reason. I think there's a reason behind it, because usually when you boil water and you have something that's in it for at least 10 minutes or longer, the heat from the boiling is usually enough to kill most of those bacteria. Not always, but most of the time. Okay. The length of time, the altitude you're in, all of that plays a part into it. The one bacterium that is not able to be killed from just normal boiling, because for most people at sea level, 212 degrees is boiling point. Okay. The higher your elevation, the lower the temperature is for a boiling point. Okay. Botulism can only be killed in one of 3 ways. Okay. It can be killed from hitting 240 degrees temperature, Fahrenheit. BLOO, I'm not sure what Celsius is, so sorry about that.
What was it? What was the number again?
240.
240. 115.
Okay, so 115 Celsius. Okay. The secondary part of that is that you can do it through when you reheat, and you'll now understand where this conversation really ties into what you guys said, and specifically Cayce, because Cayce made this point. When you reheat your food, you're getting it to a temperature. Okay, so once it's been cooked and processed, you want, and just hear me out just for S&G, we'll put it that way, because there's a process I'm trying to get to here. So if you do that, and you get it, so you get it to the 240, that'll kill it in the first time processing. The second time, if you're reheating something, you can reheat it, and as long as it hits 100, I think it's 185. I'm looking just to make sure so I don't mislead anybody. Yeah, it's 85 Celsius or 185 Fahrenheit. Does that sound right, BLOO?
85 Fahrenheit, 85 Celsius.
185 is Fahrenheit, 85 Celsius.
Yeah.
Okay, roughly. So if you hit those temperatures, when you're reheating something, you have reheated it enough to kill the toxins off from growing. Okay. Yeah. So here, before we even go any, and here, now I hope you all understand why I'm struggling with this. Okay. Yeah. Here's 2 different things we've talked about, 2 different scenarios, 2 different temperatures. Mm-hmm. Okay. Meaning, why would it be different if I'm reheating it, or why would it be different if it's first time processed? It's one's 240 and one's 185. Why is there a difference? Okay. I've delved into this. I'm not trying to make this all about botulism. That's not the point. My point I'm trying to get to is that, and then in this, one of the other things, quite a few oftentimes we've been told, don't do dairy, don't do grain, don't do pasta, because you can't. We'll just put it that way. I'm now finding recipes that have butter and pasta and rice in them. But wait a second. I thought you couldn't do that. I thought that's not allowed. It's a breakdown in the system. is where my problem is that I'm trying to get to. Okay. Is it right? Is it wrong? I'm not here to make that point. What I'm here to tell you is that, and it's the same thing you guys did, and I really want to stress on it. Do your own research. Be comfortable with what you're doing in your house. Okay. Find out what you need to do or what you don't need to do. If that's with a standard pressure canner on a stove or over a propane stove or an electric, I'm using my terms correctly here. Help me, pressure canner. Not to be confused with pressure cooker, because they're two different things. That's on you. That is really on you. I'm not here to be the canning police, person, whatever it is, or the other word. I'm not here to do that. I got too many things in my own life to deal with. That's not my job. Okay. But I have a hesitation with it, and I'll be honest, and I think that's because of training. That's what I trained to do. I didn't do dairy. I didn't do grain. I didn't do noodles. When you do a homemade soup, don't fill it up more than 2/3 of the bottle or halfway, depending on what you're making. Following these guidelines becomes a repetitive process that I can't get around. Okay. Does that mean Cayce and Monica can't? No, that's Cayce and Monica, and Cayce and Monica will do what they want to do. Okay. Which you guys will do that anyways. I understand that, but throwing it out there, I struggle with what's right and what's wrong. And I finally just got to a point that it's better for me to just do what I do. You do what you do. I'm not here to guideline what you're going to do, and you're not here to guideline what I'm going to do. The only thing I ask is that you do it safely. That's the biggest thing. In the end of it, I don't really care. Now, I have to assume you guys wash your hands, you wash your food, you wash your utensils, you sterilize where you need to, you do what you need to. Okay. Yeah. When I looked and researched up the botulism part, I want to come back to it one more time. From 1975 until 2009, there was only 3,000 cases that were identified in the United States. That is a 34-year time period. Out of the 3,000, there was only 109 deaths over 34 years.
Did it give you information of, because like in the UK, the major parts came from factories when they had the botulism.
So primary
home canning?
It came up with different sections, and here's what I will tell you as far as the best I got out of it. Okay. Now, going back to what I originally said, remember there's foodborne infant wound inhalation. Of those 3,000 cases, I believe it was 800 of them were foodborne. So now you've even cut that percentage way down farther. Right. Yes, Monica.
So from 2001 to 2017, the CDC reported there were 2,240 cases of botulism in the United States. And out of all of those, only 90 were from home canners.
Right.
And in 2017, which was the last year that they kept those records accurately, weird that the CDC is not keeping records now. But anyway, in 2017, guess how many home canning reported there were?
Not many. Yeah.
Zero. A big old goose egg. There were zero in 2017.
And I think to attribute to that, in all honesty, and I'm not trying to talk over all you guys, I've kind of moved out of where I was. So if you guys got stuff to interject, by all means do it. I think the point of that, though, is that people are watching what they're doing. They're more cautious about it. They're being
smarter.
safer.
They're learning.
Smarter. Yeah. All of that stuff, you know?
I just wanted to put something in real fast, because I think a lot of people, when they think of rebel canners, and I'm glad, Tony, that you mentioned this before, is they think of not washing hands or this or not doing it the proper way.
Right.
As a rebel canner, I still sterilize my jars. I clean all my jars. I always clean my hands because, ew, that's gross if you don't.
Gross.
I make sure I'm washing my produce before I'm putting in there. Now, listen, I don't blanch a lot of my produce sometimes, but that's not a nastiness thing. That's just a Cayce does thing. But I want to say that rebel canners, we do follow some rules. So
out of curiosity, sorry. Out of curiosity, when you said you don't blanch, you still are washing your fruits and vegetables, though, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, but he leaves his skins on his potatoes.
I do leave my. Listen, that is the potato, the skin of the potato, and even some of the fruits are some of the healthiest with the most vitamins in that fruit and vegetable. That's where you're getting most of your nutrition.
That in itself is a struggle a lot of canners have. Do I leave the skins on or don't I? Because Cayce is right. That is where a lot of your nutrients are. You take them off, you ain't got that. Okay. So real quick, let me get through the rest of this and then I'll open it up. Okay. I think I already. Oh, here's the other question I had, because this is one that hit me a long time ago when I first started canning, because in going with, and just go with what I'm saying here. I am Rebel Canning. I don't follow the book, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Rebel, we'll just assume that's Rebel Canning. And my issue is this, and I'd like you guys to specifically talk to this because I think it's important to understand. My question was at that time, why is it that you can follow washing the dishes, because that's what we all have to do, washing your hand, safety in parts, but not in the whole thing? Does that make sense? What I'm asking.
Can I interject?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm the oldest one here. Okay. So, and I have canned since I was a teenager. Now, when I was in my 20s, what we would be calling rebel canning was adding herbs to your jelly. People didn't do that. It wasn't in the books. But you were making combinations that weren't in the books. So all of a sudden you're a rebel canner. But that's not really true.
I didn't even do that. Sorry, I hit the wrong one.
So we progress, and all of a sudden canners across the country are trying this, and they're adding these things together, and they're learning.
Yes.
And sometimes the USDA does not catch up until later. No. When somebody says they're rebel canning, does not mean that they're not following all the rules. If I'm canning something that's unusual, I'm still looking, how long do I have to can that fruit? Right. How long do I have to can that meat? And the USDA does not have funding right now to check a lot of things. Now, all of a sudden we have this electric pressure canner. The USDA has not tested that, though there are some real professionals who have tested this.
Right.
But in 10 years, in 5 years, will most of the people have those? Probably,
yeah.
So I following rules.
Right.
There's still all of us that are canning are still making sure that this food has to be processed for this long. And you're always taking the one that takes the longest. Right. Whatever, if you're doing a combination, you're always looking at, okay, this is the longest temperature.
For example, you're saying potatoes, carrots, and celery all put together. You're going to go with the longest length of time for that. Okay.
So it's not like you're not looking at the book. I think that's a misconception that they're throwing at people that are considered rebel canners.
So I want to throw this out there, and I'm going to throw this name out there because me and this person have had this discussion, and she openly talks about it. She has no issue whether you like it or not. It's Jenny Scratchmade Kitchen. Okay, yep. Jenny. Okay, well she's
awesome.
She's been around a while, so she knows what she's doing. But me and her have had a personal conversation where I've sat on the phone for hours with her having this talk. And it's what actually started prior to watching your guys' podcast. It's what started leaning me to this isn't making sense. How come this isn't working right? How come if they say it's this way and then they put a recipe in here that says something other? She said, I'm going to tell you right now. She said, I use the book. Okay. She says, I use other books. She said, what I do may not be tested, but it's safe. And that's all that matters. You know what can go in X, Y, and Z. You know how much time it should take for that to happen. You know, if it's a PSI ran system, what your PSI needs to be. You know all of that. She said, don't get stuck on the book doesn't have how do I make tomatillo salsa specifically written out, because you know what the ingredients are. Take the ingredients, figure it out. You can be safe that way and still figure out what you're doing. Now, I'm not here to say Jenny told me so. That's not what I mean. Okay. Her way of thinking about it made sense to me, and I could follow it and I could understand it. In addition to it, if she does put a video out now, this is remind me, somebody come back to the video part of Rebel Canning. Okay. She said, if she puts a video out there and it is Rebel Canning, she puts that very first, this is a Rebel Canning recipe. So nobody can come back and say, you didn't tell me. I followed it to the T and then found out it's not what's approved or not approved. Okay. And I'll come back to that in just a second. When Sandi was talking about the USDA not testing the electric pressure canner, she's spot on there. But I went and did some more research, and if you actually look at the All-American and the what's the other one, Presto pressure canners, not the electric ones, they don't recommend those either. There's no recommendation of a product.
Right.
It says you can use it as long as it meets these criteria, is what it says. So in reality, their electric pressure canners would fit that as long as it does those things, right?
Correct.
That would be being safe, correct? Well, there you go. I think there's.
And can I just throw this in there also while you're talking about the book?
Have a good night. Go ahead.
Let me just say that when you're talking about the book, the ball book,
I'm talking when I say book, I'm saying USDA book, not ball book. Just so you know that.
I'm saying ball book.
Okay, you go.
And I did a video, and I've been canning meat since I was on the homestead, so not very long, about 3, almost 4 years. And recently got a comment on a video that was like, hey, Cayce, BT dubs, you told people the wrong pressure canning time for the chicken. I'm like, what? So I went back and looked at my handy dandy ball book. And
that sounds like
then I Googled it.
Handy dandy.
Well, for most YouTubers are like, oh yes, I use the ball canning book of, everybody talks about it. I talk about it. But it was an older book that said 75 minutes for quarts for chicken, canning chicken, raw pack, because that's what I do, raw pack it. And then if you Google it online, the USDA says 90 mintes.
There you go.
And it has changed. And I bought the book 3 years ago.
Yep.
So the thing is, why I started getting not necessarily into the rebel canning, but going off of what I have done and it was worked, is because how can something like that change timing? When I cook chicken in the oven, it's usually about an hour at 350 degrees, right? We'll just say in Cayce Fantasyland, 350 an hour. Just because it's Tuesday, it's not going to take an hour and a half. Right. So why in the world would something change the time of cooking it just because you did more research? Or that's what I was like, okay, I'm not really buying into this hoopla. But if you, in your mind, and me and BLOO talked about this on the episode, is if you keep in your mind that beans and meat should stay at 90 minutes, we're talking quarts, then we're good. If the USDA comes out in 10 years and say, Cayce, it's actually going to be 120 minutes, I'm going to be like, that's nice, brah, but I'm still going to do 90 minutes. Right. Because my thing is like, how are the times changing? That's I'm not good at math, but how does it add up?
I think the valid point is just what you made, is that I get it. Okay, they had this kind of same thing with chicken. When you pack chicken and cook chicken, it used to be 1-inch headspace. Then all of a sudden, out of the blue, in 2015, they put an additional out that said it has to be 1.25 inches because, which I find a very valid point, the processing of chickens and what they do to chickens nowadays has changed the structure of the chicken. Okay. But I can wrap my head around that. I can't wrap my head around where it's been 90 minutes for 200 years. And now all of a sudden you've decided it's got to go up another 30 minutes. That makes absolutely no sense to me. Okay.
Wait, what? Chickens aren't chickens?
We're talking about pterodactyl chickens, I think they call them.
We're talking about, American chickens.
Steroided chickens.
But doesn't wait. So you got the same size jar, and it doesn't matter if it's like got press on it to put topsy curvy to shame or a partridge. You're going to get the same amount.
Are we talking about chickens you eat, or are you talking about a different chicken?
I think Tony's point was that the chickens now, maybe the structure of the chickens, like the type, the way the meat is condensed, or maybe the density of the meat in chickens nowadays, because they're maybe structurally different. They look like chickens, but they're built.
They look like turkeys.
They're built like turkeys.
Yeah.
And so because of the way man has basically just modified
all that
modified the
altered.
Yeah, really has altered. So it may take more time. Maybe it takes more time to get that heat in the center or whatever.
But I'm with Cayce, though, is that when you're talking about heat, I think it's a little different than if you're talking about headspace. Headspace makes sense because you got to have that headspace in order for the vacuuming process to work the right way. So I get that. Sure. Okay. But the cook time,
Okay.
I'm same way with you, BLOO, because Monica laughs at me all the time because she's like, Cayce, your salsa has 1-inch headspace. I'm like, and your salsa has 1-inch headspace. I just stick pretty much when I can, and this is me, and it's worked for me, and I am still alive. My family is still alive.
Right.
Is I do 1-inch headspace for everything.
Yeah, I do too.
I keep it kind of even that way because I don't want overflow that will prohibit the seal. I think when you get too, like with jam's 1/4 of an inch of a headspace. No, I'm gonna do
jams and jellies I do different, but everything else is pretty much 1 inch. Yeah.
So I do inch all the way around. Now, I may do a 1/2 inch on jelly if I don't want to wash another jar because I have.
It depends on how tired he is that night.
Yeah, depending on how lazy I am. But most of the time, and this is very rebellish talk, but I stick pretty much to 1-inch headspace on everything. Salsas, if I'm packing it in water. Chicken, I don't actually necessarily bring any liquid up because it will make its own liquid. So I just raw pack it in and push it down. But that's my 2 cents for the headspace.
Just throwing this out there, though, with hot packing chicken, it actually waters it down. It makes it not taste the same to me.
Right.
Yeah. You were gonna say something, BLOO. Sorry.
What I was gonna say is we don't usually measure us because we either go, that's for lumpy stuff. We go up to the shoulder of the jar for lumpy stuff, and liquid stuff is up to the collar. And that's it.
But that's following kind of what Cayce's saying. It's 1 inch for everything. Jams and jellies goes up a little higher.
Okay.
I go to here and I stop because there's too much going on in my brain.
How many jars over here?
There's too much going on in my brain.
Standing there with a roller. What is this business?
And my little stupid stir thing that came with my little set, my little cute little inchy thing, that's gone. I have children. They beat each other with sticks and stuff. They pull stuff out of my drawer. They smack each other with stuff. I don't know where that thing is.
Now, I'll just say, because nobody wants to stand around with a ruler, and I'm going to throw it out there because I did say that I am through the vein addicted to 4 jars. They have a new funnel.
Let's tap up together because I am too.
The funnel that they have actually is dummy proof. It has all of your 1/4 of it. So when you're filling it up, it will tell you kind of where to stop.
Right.
If you want to not stand there with a ruler, BT dubs today through Monday, they have a deal. If you spend $100, you get 100 free lids.
Look
So
at you go.
I mean,
I'm still
if you want to
trying
find more
to
of it, you
make
come over to my
lids.
channel.
There you go.
I'm trying to
What?
make them do lug lids as well.
Yeah, she's trying to
you
get them to
know,
do lug lids.
because they do send overseas. So can we have like one-piece lids, please, so that we can have for Jazz too?
There you go.
I want
I
lids
think
that you can use again and again and again. That would
Yes.
be wonderful.
that would be wonderful. Yes. Now I know some
I do
people.
have
I won't
lids I can
mention
keep
any
again and again
names
and again.
that reuse their 2-piece lids, but I'm not going to mention any names. I'm not.
I do.
I've used them
I
before.
do.
I know you both do.
Yeah.
I
They're
reuse them.
expensive. They're
I
expensive. Why would you
reuse
throw it
them.
away after one time?
I reuse them for non-food preservation, like nuts, bolts,
Oh, no.
nails, things like that.
Yeah, I'll use them for jellies again. You know,
Really?
yeah. And then I have some I think it's called Tattlers.
Tattler lids. Those are reusable though.
Those, yeah, you can reuse those for a long time. But
Yeah.
that rubber is still the same, and it's like it doesn't make sense to me that I can't use them again. You know,
Here's ultimately I think the hardest question for me, and I can never get by it. I don't care what anybody says. Here's the hardest question coming from the straight and narrow book person who follows everything to the T. Why is it that only 3 countries do it this way and all the other 200 do it the other way?
I know.
Part of that is because of the 2-lid system. Okay. Now, I don't know about whether the other 200 some odd countries use a 2-lid system. I think most of them use a 1-lid system. Okay.
No, when we say 2-lid, we're talking about the ring and
The ring and the flat.
Lid.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lug lid is
I've used
on there.
I've used lugs. Because when I sell things at farmers markets,
Mhm.
I'm bougie and I want it to look as bougie as I am. And the ring in the top to me looks I did it in my grandma's house.
Right.
And I want it to look more, I bought this from Walmart kind of look. So
I want to buy it from grandma's house, not the Walmart look.
That's why you get
again,
fancy labels for that. You know,
True.
you can handwrite your labels and still have a lug lid. So
oh,
it still looks like grandma did it.
yes, yeah.
You know?
Or with my handwriting, it would look like Monica's youngest in it. So,
Or Eric.
Eric's
Eric
a
has good. I was about to say he has good
Eric's
handwriting.
a
has good
lefty,
handwriting.
no, but he's like, he can't write on a chalkboard or a dry erase because he just erases it as he writes. Poor guy.
Funny. That's funny.
I'm left-handed and I don't do that.
Because you're a female. You're a female and you
You're
lift
a
your hand up
female,
properly.
Yeah, you're not doing the
He's all like, yeah, I don't do that.
Okay.
Do it.
But
I've done a
reusing the
lot.
lids, I was going to say reusing the lids. I reuse, but I don't. As Sandy was saying, I reuse them for something water bath can. Like if I pop off a chicken lid, one, because my seals are so good, I got to use force to pull out the seals so it bends. And
me, Seymour.
Yeah.
pretty much, yeah. So mine are usually a little bit dented from popping open chickens, and I'll bend them back and use them for a water bath one because, I can. And there's not too much fear around botulism and some strawberry jam. So my 2 cents.
Chickeny strawberry jam. Wonderful. I'm looking
what,
forward to it.
I feel like, though, it really gets down to here's the thing. You only do what you know until you know something new.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can grow into something you're doing, right? So you only know so much. So you've only known what these rules are. And now you're finding out that there's rules, but who made these rules?
Right.
And why are you following these rules? There's a whole set of rules over here you can look at. And I think that's the hardest part sometimes is people do get very hyped, like focused on one thing.
Right.
And
I think when I started looking at Rebel Can, I didn't even know what Rebel canning was. I'll be honest with you until a year into it. Okay. The thing with it though is what turned me off. I'm not going to mention the channel. I'm not even going to mention what they were doing, but I watched them go in and teach somebody on a video. This is the thing I wanted you guys to remind me about, and nobody reminded me about.
Hey, don't forget that thing.
Video.
Yes,
You're
video.
welcome.
Thank you. Appreciate that. They were showing somebody how to can something that by USDA standards and guidelines should not be canned. This person never canned before, knew nothing about canning. And I thought to myself, doesn't that seem odd that you would take this opportunity to put them in front of a video, walk them through step by step with them not having the basics? I mean, this person was not making sure things were sterilized. They weren't back then warming the lids like you were supposed to. And I was like,
call them out. We want receipts. We want channel names.
Man, I better not put that video of me teaching my 8-year-old how to can.
Okay, but that is exactly where I was going to with the video thing. I think it's different if the 6 of us are canning, I don't care which way you do it, and you do it at home, that's one thing. If you're doing it and putting it out on video, just be careful, because you could be a liability somewhere down the road. And the only reason I say that is because of what Cayce just said. Hey, your chicken was wrong. People will call you out on it. They will.
Mm-hmm. I always
whether
say
or not you're okay with that.
Do your research. I always tell them, do your research.
And that's,
yeah.
Because I was going to say that to Cayce when he said it. Tell that person, do your own research. I didn't tell you to go out and do it. This is what I did. I live in Georgia. Not my fault you live in California. You have a different elevation. It's going to be different.
No, this actually was truly a ball misprint. So this person was correct. That was the wrong time.
That's because again, it was different. That's right. Okay.
Different years. Now,
but you were
y'all see, I'm still alive.
Because that's what it said.
Exactly. Right. Yes.
So I was going to say, like, for like my children while they were learning how to cook, and like any other young people that were learning how to cook that have crossed my path, I told them follow the recipes in the cookbook to the T.
Yes.
Because they need to get the basics. You need to get used to it before you can minus or add things.
Right.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't want to say, well, I'm going to add some pepper, then it's going to be too spicy. Like, you got to learn it, and then you can get creative, I think.
Oh, and that's well said. We said that today on the morning show that starting a Rebel canning recipe is probably not the first recipe you want to try canning. Yeah. Start out with some jams or some fruited syrup.
Yeah.
And then as you learn things and as you learn from other people, which is why we love our podcast so much, is because the 4 of us, when we shoot our podcast, if you could see our desks, we have notepads and we'll write down. And then you're learning, and then you're remembering it. Oh yeah, Sandi said that when she did this, it was 90 minutes. Oh, okay, so now I know. So now to me, it's not Rebel canning because I've learned it and I've tested it out, and for me, it's safe because I'm still alive.
Sorry to interrupt again. I mean, that's my downfall. I apologize, but I think that's the point right there. What you just said, Sandi said, you went and researched it. You went and looked it up. It's proven to work fine, so there's no need to worry about that. That's done.
Well, I never look up what Sandi says because everything she says.
But I'm saying,
it's a true story.
No. Here's the honesty. Especially, I'll give you a good example. If Sandi is dealing with vanilla and tells me to put in 25 pods, I'm putting 25 pods in. I'm not going to go do my research for it. The lady knows what she's talking about. Okay, that's hands down. I'm talking about people that don't know.
Oh yeah.
But if you follow go ahead.
I still tell everybody, if you're looking at a video, you should be, and you're going to do that thing, whatever that video is saying, you should be watching 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 other videos. You should look it up on the computer and see what it says there at your library, because nobody is infallible.
Right.
I think it's important to do. You are responsible for your stuff.
Just say, okay. Oh yeah. All right. Need, that's why I always tell on anything that I cook or can or whatever, do your research multiple places. Like, when you were in like middle school or something, they said you needed 3 or 4 resources, and they can't be all like from a book.
Exactly.
Wikipedia.
Yeah, you need to do your research.
Even now,
I was about to say this was before internet.
Oh,
even
okay.
now, when you get a job, they ask for 3 different references, but not
Right.
from your family or from the same household.
Exactly.
So you have to get from you do that in life. And I don't know if anybody's gonna say it, but Garden State so and so, yeah, you can definitely put onions and garlic in it. I mean, I would, but you again do your own
Oh,
research.
where's the comment? Oh,
I don't know who told you.
Oh, you're
couldn't
talking
put
about that one right there?
Yeah, I don't know who told you couldn't put garlic and onions in
I
it,
do.
but I'd be putting stuff in mine. So
I do too. Yeah.
we ain't
Yeah, I
dead.
do.
I'm still here.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Here's the reality of it and the honesty of it. Can you put chicken in a jar and process it?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Can you
Yeah.
put onions in a jar and process
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
What was the other one? Can you put
Garlic.
garlic in a jar and
Absolutely.
process
Yeah.
it?
Yes.
Then why the hell can't you put all of it into a jar and process it?
Very
Yeah,
good job.
you always
love
take the longest one though.
Yeah.
And you do the longest one.
Sandy
You are
said.
correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sandy, I'm gonna blow you up and I want you to repeat that one more time, please.
Pressure. Oh,
I actually just wanted to see the spot where Monica said you
Right
could put
there underneath that fan.
Right under there. I see it now.
See
Go
it?
ahead.
She can put her canner over there.
Okay, here,
Oh my
Sandy.
God.
I'll take the pressure off. Go ahead.
see, now I forgot what I was supposed to say.
You were saying you want to take the longest time.
Longest
yeah.
time.
Yeah, whatever. If you have a combination of stuff in your jar, you take the longest thing.
Yeah.
Which
So
is usually the protein.
Yes.
right, yeah. So if you have meat in there, it's always going to be the meat. That's the
Yeah.
longest thing.
Yep.
So
you don't
I-
go,
I-
oh, well, I can do my onions in this amount of minutes, so I could just do that. No.
Right.
Yep.
I want to. It's about correlation, and I think again, I'm just throwing out there what my observation is. Okay, and the way I would look at can I put onions and garlic into chicken? Okay,
Mhm.
can you do that with tomato sauce?
Yes.
Then why wouldn't you be able to do that with chicken? What would be the difference?
Mhm.
Right.
Really? Okay. Am I telling you to go do that? Go do your own research.
Right.
That's what I'm telling you to do. Don't
That's what
count
I
on what
do.
I'm saying.
But
Like with
Mhm.
say that
Yeah.
again.
that's what I do. But
But it's always the but, and I think
That'll
Even-
get you every time.
it will. In the end,
sometimes it stinks.
one of the things that creeped me out, and I'll be honest with you, is when I seen Monica do cream cheese, I was freaked out about
Just
it.
stop
Okay.
it.
But no, it still comes back to that. You do what fits you and your house and your rules. Okay.
Oh, I thought he was going to throw us under the bus for those nacho cheese.
Oh no,
Right.
the plastic stuck in my
Yes.
head and I couldn't
Yes,
get
I
that
have
out.
I have 5 jars in the canner right now,
Yeah,
canning out
yeah.
for my big number 10.
Yeah, I think Cayce even said, "Let's be real, it's probably plastic." But
Yeah.
But
Here's
it's
the
so
thing, though.
good.
It's always, I think everything is really going back to fear. Like,
Mm.
what
Right.
stops most people from starting to can in the first place? Fear. I had a lady I was talking to the other day, and I was like, do you can? And she's like, I'm so afraid because I read all these things and I don't know how to start. And I'm like, okay, I get it, but you can't let fear run what
No.
you want to do for your family. So
Right.
stop being afraid and start doing something. Do you
Right.
know that as of right now, there have been 43 people across 13 states that have died from listeria from deli meat. Y'all be going and
Yeah.
buying deli meat and people are dying just eating a sandwich. It is not
Yeah.
about what's in my pantry.
Right.
It is
No.
about what is in your food at the grocery store. So you're
Yeah.
better off throwing some meat in a can and putting
Yeah.
it on your shelf after it's been cooked up in 90 minutes
Mm.
and then eating that later. I mean, people get so hung up on certain things. Just stop being afraid and just think about it. Do your research. And exactly like Heather said, just do it. Just stop being scared of everything.
And
And
people
don't
are
let
scared
other
because you hear all the time, oh, my pressure canner is going to blow up. Listen, y'all, the pressure canner has so many gadgets and gadgets and things
Safety
that
features.
stop it before it blows up.
Don't listen to what your grandmama Rose told you from 1950.
Oh,
Okay,
the
it's not
flying
the same.
saucer and the roof that
It's not
BLOO
the
could
same.
sit there and tell us all about.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
remember that. story.
You're more likely to win the lottery than having your Presto canner or the All-American blow up on you.
Look, I had my ginger bug blow up on me the other day. Okay, I'm more likely to have my fermented foods on my counter blow up than I am my. Yeah, for real. I had ginger, sugar water everywhere with a busted up glass. But the point is people get so afraid, and you, if you get afraid, I mean, you could be afraid to cross the street, for crying out loud. Don't be afraid because you heard all these things and the standards are so hard to follow. It's not that way.
Yeah, don't go by my experience. Don't ever go by my experience. I mean, like if I had the money and the time and the want, then I would probably think about pressure canning. But for us, it's way too much money to start. It's not something that's necessary for us because we water buff, and we water buff everything. And when I say everything, I mean everything. So, you know, for us, it's kind of a mute point, really.
Right.
You know, but yeah,
my dog's barking in the background. Sorry, guys.
My experience of having a pressure canner do strange things was completely a freak accident, you know,
right?
Completely freak. But yeah, it's left a mark.
Yeah.
Especially in that ceiling. Yeah, it left a mark. You know? So yeah.
Well,
I think oh, sorry, just real quick. I think the other thing that I think needs to be really stressed here, because a lot of us are talking about, I'm just going to say it's zombie apocalypse. Okay. I'm here to tell you, if you're trying to get long-term storage taken care of, I don't really care if it came out of Monica's electric pressure canner or mine.
You're hungry, you're going to eat.
If you're hungry, you're going to eat. Okay. Yeah. And I think I'm not here to say go out and buy these. That is not what I'm saying, but I'm not criticizing anybody for doing it either. That's the point I wanted to try to get across.
Hey, you know that the electric pressure canners actually do water bath can also.
Yes.
There's a button on it that will water bath. So really what it is the lazy man canner. And I love it. And I will wholeheartedly say I am a lazy canner because I don't want to have to babysit a pressure canner for an hour and a half. I have 90 billion other things that I should be doing on the homestead. So this was a way to set it and forget it.
Well, I don't have a safe way to hold that temperature on my stove. I have an older stove. It's small. I can't put a big pressure canner or even a water bath canner on there safely that I feel comfortable with now that I've seen it, I've done it, I've watched the amount of time.
You guys ever fix the warping issue
of
the stove? Weren't you having a
No, my stove is just weird and small, so it's not really warped. It's just small.
Okay.
So my stove just doesn't hold. It doesn't keep the temperature up. I know that my temperature will go up to a certain temperature, and then it shuts off. As a matter of fact, right now my front eye doesn't even work on my right side. So I have like one big burner, and it's on the back, and it's up against the wall. Like there's no way I could even put my water bath canner back there safely on the largest burner. Right. There's just no way that I can do that right now. So the only way for me to can water bath or pressure is to take it outside on propane. And ain't nobody got time for that, because I'm not sitting out at 150 degrees and watching a pressure canner jiggle, jiggle, jiggle for 90 minutes. I have no time for that. And I don't have the energy or no.
I think the other thing too, and Andale is the one who made it. I mean, she drove it home in the podcast. 1 or 2 jars at a time is so much easier to do in your guys' system versus pulling out the whole process that me and Sandi have to do, or Heather, when we pull out the other steam or pressure canner. So there's that as well.
And don't get me wrong, I know how to do it. But I feel like the whole thing, the whole idea and all of it. And the reason why I think when we talked about canning in general and rebel canning, I had said to Cayce and everybody, I was like, we should get BLOO, because she's literally in a different country. She doesn't pressure can. What?
She don't. No.
Rebellious, because
but I think, you know what I think is funny?
Said, here's your guidelines. Follow this book. If you don't do this, by the way, P.S., you're rebelling. Well,
yeah. See, I'm very much noticing, and because I have a lot of people from this country come to me, and they're like, "We don't do pressure canning. There's no blogs out there. There's no videos out there. What do we do? Because it's all American pressure canning. What do we do?" And it's like, well, you know, I do have videos ready to go out. It's just like internet allowing me to upload them. So, you know, they will be coming because, frankly, and I'm not going to say that they're rebel canning because I don't live in the US.
You don't have to say they're rebel canning.
It's not rebel canning to you.
It's not rebel canning to you.
No, it's just food preservation, and people need to know how to do it for themselves. And over here, it's really, really important right now, like majorly important, because the cost of food over here is ridiculous. I know you guys have ridiculous, but you actually get more money than we do as well. Yeah. So any kind of upgrade on our bills over here, when you've got people that are living on 70 quid a week, and they've got to pay everything on that, you know, they need to be able to do this stuff for themselves when they can find the food on offer and make the best of it that they can, you know. So yeah, I'm going to be doing loads of that.
I have one other thing I really, really want to read, and I want everybody to listen to the words that I use, okay?
Yeah.
All right. And I'm taking it out of context, but it's not out of context. So I didn't cut off half the sentence, okay? But it's taken out of a paragraph. The exact time depends on the kind of food being canned, the way it's packed into jars, and the size of jars. The time needed to safely process low-acid foods in boiling water canner ranges from 7 to 11 hours. The time needed to process acid foods in boiling water varies from, should have high acid foods, and it's not even listed in there. Boiling water varies from 5 to 85 minutes. That's the end of the paragraph. Did you hear me once say you can't do it? Not once. So if it takes me,
it does say it's 7 to 11 hours. That's
7 to 11
right.
hours, but it doesn't say I can't do it. Is my point.
No.
That's odd to me.
Yeah, that's it.
I can't even remember my name in 7 hours. What makes you think in 7 hours I'm going to remember to check the camera?
I think what I'm referring to though is when you talk to BLOO.
Oh yeah,
when you talk to BLOO and she talks about doing, I think, wasn't it fish is 4 hours? You had talked
fish
about
is 4 hours. Yeah.
Okay, it's going to take a while.
Yes.
She's waterbath canning. She's not pressure canning.
No. And I set an alarm for myself every hour because I'm not going to stand there and watch it.
But
I'm not its mother. You know, I got better things to do with my life. I'm not watching Waterpile. I'm just saying.
The point I'm trying to make is that it's her hours are different than our hours according to the book, but the book doesn't say you can't do it. That's the point.
It's not against the law, first of all.
It's not against the law.
Recommended.
It doesn't even say it's recommended.
Would you like me to get the book where the hours are recommended from?
That would be wonderful, and then I can actually add it.
2 seconds, and I will go and watch it.
Because
it ain't British.
It ain't British?
No.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Is it Scottish?
American.
Is it
American? It's American.
It's American.
My thing is like if it says not to do it and you do it, what are you going to get, a spanking? Like that's my thing. Is like,
well, if you're Cayce, you might enjoy that. So you know anything's possible.
Boo. Hey, look. Here's the thing. The thing is that nobody. This is not law. It's a recommendation.
It's recommendation. That's the whole point I'm trying to make.
Yeah, yes. It's not like you're going 30 miles over the speed limit, okay? You're not. It's not a law.
Now, I wouldn't recommend pressure canning fish for 30 minutes. You're going to have a problem, okay? I wouldn't do that.
No, but it will tell you in my book how long I have to do it.
Yeah,
but that's my point. My point is if if you have a book or a
I
schedule,
think fish is 70 minutes for a quart.
I think it's 90 minutes, actually, or no, fish is longer than that, actually.
Because I know
I think
chicken
it's
and beef are
120
90. Yeah, I could be wrong. I'm sure somebody in the chat will probably pop it up. Tammy, Mountain Grandma, are you still here? Hello.
She may have gone to bed. I don't
She
know.
probably has.
Because it's like.
Oh, here, I'll tell you right here. It is, according to the book. Come on. Now I got to get to the whole end.
100 minutes.
Yep, that's what I just found. Yep, it's 100 minutes. My whole point is, don't think you. I don't want to see people, because it's not safe to go out and do something and do it for half the time and think it's going to work out. It's not going to work out. Then you will get sick. Then you will have problems. But it's not because of botulism. It's because of everything else you can get. Okay.
Well, it's because you're an idiot and you didn't at least look up something.
That's a good way to put it, Monica.
It is.
Look, I'm gonna be real honest with you. I'm gonna be real honest with you. I put taco meat, canned ground beef seasoned with taco seasoning. I put it in cans. I stuck it in my pantry right here. Okay, stuck it in my pantry, my room, my bedroom, office space / turned into pantry space. I pulled it out and realized that it was messed up. So I did a little video on it, and people were like, "No, you didn't put meat in your pantry." And I was like, "Yeah, I did." And they were like, "You just shoved it in there and stuck it in your pantry." I was like, "No, I pressure canned it." Are you kidding?
What?
People were floored. They were like, you just put it. Why don't you just put it in your fridge? I'm like,
it is over 2 million views now. So
I'm like, I literally canned it. People were literally thinking that I shoved meat, cooked meat, into a jar, put the lid on it, and just shove it in my pantry. That is not how you do it, honey. You have to at least know a little bit. Try, look something up. And if you think that's gonna work, you keep on going to your grocery store, go into the Wally World, because that's where you need to be. But if you don't do any research and you just start doing some stuff, it's gonna just fail. Don't be an idiot. Do a little bit of looking up. You got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean,
This is my favorite saying right here.
Yeah, you can't fix stupid.
No.
And listen, we had someone in our chat this morning that said, I hope this isn't a dumb question. And what I really wanted to say was, there is no dumb questions. There's just dumb people.
It's true though.
Before we answer that question, but it is true.
Yes.
The only dumb question is the one you don't ask.
The unasked question.
That's a nicer way of putting it.
I agree.
Yeah.
But
anything else you guys would like to add? Because we've been here over almost an hour and a half. So I want you guys, I know it's late for you Easties over there. So.
Okay.
Well,
sorry.
I'm the only Eastie, I think.
Yeah, Casey's the only Eastie.
Okay. There's some central to Easties over there.
I'm central.
Mountain.
I was thinking that it would be nice if we could do this again. Maybe like talk a little bit further, because maybe it'll make some people who are afraid to start preserving, or some people that are like, I'm so scared to get it right or wrong or whatever, maybe this will relax people a little bit, but still be mindful of being clean and trying to do the best.
I think what I really want to throw out into what you just said, and when I did a lot more research on botulism, sorry for the word again, it really come down to being clean, cleaning your food, making sure you're processing it correctly. There is so much you're going to save yourself a headache in if you just do the simple steps before you get to that point, So it really, that's more of the priority, I would think. And do your research, know what you're doing, make sure you're following whatever process you've got laid out in front of you. So.
Yeah.
I think what you have to remember too is, don't be afraid to try, and just remember that the government is putting things out there in your own grocery stores that are making people sick and killing them too. So, I mean, you're going to actually do a lot better in your own home canning than they probably are in the grocery store. I'm
And
just
you know
saying.
what's in that canned item also.
And you
which
know
is
what
important.
you know what's in the canned
That
item.
is the beauty of it right there, is you
Yeah.
know what's going in that can.
Yeah. Look,
Yep.
my dad buys canned soup at the store all the time. And he said, oh man, I would love to eat more of this and that, but it has too much salt in it because he had a heart attack years ago and he just cuts a lot of salt out. And I said, well, Dad, I can make you a bunch of canned soup and we can put it in your pantry. And he's like, well, I don't know how I can keep it in my pantry like that. I'm like, just call me the grocery store. I'll do it for you. But I can, I'm like, just Dad, I can do this, but I can control the amount of salt that's in his food, the amount of sugar that's in his food, and I can encourage him to eat healthier things.
Yeah.
But he's just so in his ways, he just doesn't realize that I can can the same soup that's at the grocery store, but make it better for him and know what's in it, and it'll be safe on his shelf.
I seen a excuse me, I seen a lady talk. I won't mention the channel name, but I seen her do a talk at something, and she, leading up to this, had always been supportive of canning. However you do it, it didn't matter. Okay. And then all of a sudden she turned into this canning police, but for a different reason. It was a negative reason. She was out there saying, well, if you process anything over 10 minutes, you lose all the nutritional value in canned items anyways. And I'm like, oh, hold on. That is not true. Number one. Number two, then I got to go into what else she said, and then I'll come back to it. She said, if you're doing long-term storage for zombie apocalypse, you need to be doing X, Y, and Z. And I thought to myself, that is the dumbest thing you could have just said, lady. You don't understand that. Number one, you're incorrect about the nutritional value. Number two, do you think I really care how nutritional my food is if we're talking the zombie apocalypse? I'm trying to eat food. I don't care how nutritionally valuable it is, okay? But she downplayed it, and I was like, you're sitting at a homesteading convention putting out there that you should not do canning. Really? She did it, though. She sat there for an hour and a half talking about it.
I want to say also, because I just saw a comment on this about hot product, hot jars. That's another really important thing, that the temperature of your jars when you're putting it in there should be the same as the product that is going in there. So you're and especially the liquid that you're putting in there too. When I can beans, I know, rebel, I can dried beans. Okay, I have cool jars. I have washed, cool, dried beans, and I put cool filtered water into it. Okay, I'm not going to do all of the hot different ones because that's when jars can crack and mess up. So I did want to put out there that is an important thing, is to make sure that your product and your jar are roughly around the same temperature. Don't do boiling hot jar with raw chicken, because that's just
so
no bueno.
This is how technologically advanced my channel is. Are you ready for this? Don't fall victim to thermal shock. Sorry.
Now I feel Blue's like, and now to follow that, let me show you what I found.
Okay, Blue, what do you got?
So this here is a reproduction of the original leaflet of the care home canning book. Okay. So basically what they've done is they've taken an original copy, they've photocopied it, and they've printed it, right? But what it has is the timetables. But it's not only got water bathing, it's also got pressure canning.
Oh, wow.
And it's for everything on both pages.
Awesome.
And it does everything. It goes through dairy, it goes through fruit, goes through veg, goes through meat, goes through fish, goes through everything. And then it's got its recipes in there as well. And frankly, I've used this for years. This is a new copy, obviously, but I've used their timetables for years, and I've never, ever had an issue.
Okay.
Well, look at her. She's still here.
I'm not exactly looking like the picture postcard for someone who's got food poisoning every day.
And Tanny still appears every now and then, so
Literally just put out, I just saw videos of him. I feel like it was either on Facebook or Instagram or somewhere. I saw videos of him checking the garden. So I'm pretty sure he's alive.
Yeah, that was yesterday
something was
afternoon.
wrong with his hose, wasn't it?
You leave his kinky hose alone, you.
Kinky hose, that's what it was. Yeah.
Friday night.
Okay, so I'm going to run through real quick. Heather, do you have anything to add?
Just keep it clean.
Okay, Sandi.
Yeah. You are responsible for you. You can look at a video, you can try that video, but you are responsible to do your research.
Good.
Yep.
Cayce.
I'm gonna unmute myself. I'm tagging on what Sandi says. Do your own research, and like I said this morning, you worry about yourself. I worry about myself, and we'll all be good on our canning projects.
Yep. Monica.
Don't let people make you afraid to try things and to get out of your comfort zone and do something for your family. I'm going to do what I need to do for my family, and I'm not going to let the government tell me right or wrong. I mean, I'm sorry. I'll follow the standards that I see and I realize is good and right for me. Right. And it's FYI, it's not against the law to rebel can. The only thing that makes it rebellious is those letters on top of a book that says you're supposed to do it one way or the other.
Right. BLOO.
Yes.
Okay.
Pretty much the same thing, but also understand that just because you don't do it that way doesn't mean that other people don't. And there's a lot more countries out there that do it differently than do it the way that a book says in a country. So don't attack people when they're doing it differently to what you would think is okay.
Go watch another video, do more research.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, because really, the more you can, the more you learn, and the more that you feel comfortable, I'm going to try this.
Yeah.
It's just like what Heather said with the recipe thing. I think that was a really great analogy too. The more you learn about canning, the more you can add in different things and try. Once you're familiar with a recipe, that's when you start tweaking it. That's why, a lot of people that have done a recipe for so long you don't need a recipe card anymore. Now you know that recipe and you can add to it different flavors and make it your own. And the same thing goes for canning. When you feel comfortable with a canner, comfortable with what you're doing, then you can have that chicken, you raw pack the chicken. Now you can add in the garlic. Now you can add in the onions, and you're not afraid because somebody out there told you, you have to only do it one way.
Mm.
So what was that?
It's like gardening too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's many ways.
It's like anything, you learn the basics and you go from there.
Yep.
I think what I want to add to the whole thing is, sorry, my little technologically advanced mode messed me up. If anybody does not like this or disagrees with this, please state so nobody else, you'll hear what I'm saying, and then we'll go from there. I have videos on how to can. I think everybody else does in their channel as well on YouTube, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. You might have to look for them, but they're there somewhere. If you want to see how we do it, if you want to see what we have out there and what we've done, please go take a look and check into them. You have questions, email me. I'm more than willing to answer questions if people got them. I don't know about you guys, but that's totally up to you. And I think the biggest thing is, and it's already been said, just do your own research, figure out the way you want to do it, how you want to do it. Make sure you're comfortable with what you're working with as much as you can. But it really goes back to what Monica said too. Don't be afraid to do it. A lot of what I've done, all of my pressure canning I've done when I first started doing jam, I was scared crapless.
Yeah.
I was going to mess something up or burn myself or break something. Yeah. You just got to get through it and do it and move on. That's the way it rolls. So.
Yeah. And then it's like nothing. It's like, I'm doing this again. Huh.
What was I so afraid of?
And then you start
right.
And getting creative.
You just got to put your big boy or big girl panties on and just
Hike
do it
up.
for the first. Hike them all the way up.
Well, don't go too far up.
Protected
We don't want
tool.
any wedgies or anything. So
Yeah, you might be too. Yeah.
and
But jelly is the gateway for camping.
It is.
It is the gateway. Yeah. And
Yeah.
if you're wanting to start, find a good. There are a lot of really simple like juice to jelly recipes that really is foolproof. And try that because it will get your confidence up. It will. You'll can it and you'll have, all your jars sealed and hear that popping, and you're like, I can take on the world now. I am that person.
What I will recommend, because I did exactly what Cayce said, and I was all that, and I thought I was all that until I had 300 jars of jam and jelly. I didn't know what to do with. So.
Okay, well, FYI, I didn't start with jams and jellies. I started with pickled peppers because I tried doing jams and jellies and they went and they didn't do what they're supposed to do, and then it's very discouraging. So just remember, if you try jams and jellies, because people are like, try jams and jellies, it's not always that easy. And if you fail, try something different. It's okay. Because
if you fail, make syrup.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what everybody says. But I got like 8 jars of peach drizzle right now that I'm trying to figure out what I'm gonna do with. Okay.
Can I just say
use it.
that we don't actually water bath or pressure can jams and jellies at all. We open kettle them. And we do that because pectin dies after 10 minutes of boiling, which is why people end up with syrup and not jam or jelly.
Well, I'm going to tell you here, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong, we don't pressure can jams and jellies.
But you do water bath them.
We do water bath, but we don't pressure can. I just wanted to.
But we don't even do that because it will destroy pectin, especially powdered pectin.
Mine works out just fine. I get your point.
Do you flip it, BLOO? Did you flip them, right?
Yeah, we just flip them. Like
she flips them.
I've done that before, and I will say that my jams have turned out thicker than the other ones. Now that I've only done it once, so I can try it again. I'll probably try it again on a YouTube video. But flipping, I've flipped butter and I flipped jam before, and
He's a flipper.
I'm a flipper.
Yeah,
what can I say? Somebody off one time.
All it is hot jars, hot lids, and hot contents. And it's the heat creating the vacuum. And if you flip it upside down, then you've got an air pocket. So when it comes back, it goes and sucks down your lid.
But I'm here to tell you, and I'm sure Sandi probably knows or has known quite a few people, just again, because of your age, sorry, your seniority in the group.
Seasoning. She's seasoned.
The seasoning. Yes.
Seasoning of life.
Season's like a good chicken, okay?
It is.
She's a 30-year-old whiskey of the group, man.
Ooh, I like that.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
But what I was going to say is flipping over probably was something that was done quite often.
Oh, when I grew up, that's the only way they did it. They didn't water bath it. I bet you. I bet you I was in my early 20s before I ever bought a water bath canner.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the jellies we just flipped
them over.
Yeah.
Well, cool.
That's how I was doing it at first too, and freezer jam.
Yeah.
Freezer jam is how I actually.
I've never heard of freezer jam. Until I started seeing somebody else do it on Jam It Up June, I had no idea what freezer jam was.
Lisa Yogi Hollow.
Yeah.
I got no room for freezer jam. I got freezer meat. That's it.
I don't either.
No room for freezer jam. I'm pulling stuff out of my freezer, throwing it in jars because I got to get it out of my freezer.
Yeah.
Yep.
You can send some down this or up this way, and I'll store it for you.
I keep trying to talk Eric into get me another freezer. I only have 4 right now, so I think I need another.
You need another one. Yeah.
Oh, you have to. I'll talk with Eric later.
Definitely need another freezer.
All right, guys. Any last things before we let you go? Before you even say anything, anybody, I want to thank you guys for coming and doing this. I appreciate it. I think we got our points across, and I think we came to an agreement and an understanding, and I think people learned stuff. So I think that's what was beneficial, and we had a good time. And see, not a one of us hate anybody else on the screen. That's how you end it.
No.
Oh no!
You have to point that if I was ever on a live with Cayce, I would never stop laughing.
Cayce
I usually behave myself most of the time.
I would have
never on Tony's channel. Never on
just
Tony's.
like your
He's
little
never
your remarks would just have me dying.
Now, if you go over to interview on his channel, you watch yourself out. You might have some issues.
Yeah, it'll be hard.
It would be hard.
I'm a Nancy Grace it.
Yep.
I mean, I behave for the podcast because out of respect for you guys, but no. I can cope with half an hour of behavior, and then it's like, no.
I think you've done great.
I ordered one.
Oh, there you go.
She went to the dark side.
Look at it. They're all
Dark side of
excited
the
and
moon.
stoked.
No,
Even I'm excited.
Listen, we pre-shoot our podcast I'll say about a month in the rear. Maybe sometimes longer than that.
So where are
We
you
have
gonna
been bugging Sandi forever. And I got peer pressured into buying when I bought mine.
There's that spot
Monica,
right there.
I know, right there underneath the plants.
Right there.
It's like dangling. It says here, right here. But it will change your life.
I will
the
say
best thing ever.
it's definitely really convenient to be able to do 1 or 2 jars of something, to be able to have something. It's for me and my family. I will say the electric pressure canner has made it for me to be able to actually preserve the food that I'm pulling in from my garden and actually preserve the food that we're eating, and like leftover wise, because I can leftovers here, but it's helped us to save a lot of our food and keep a lot of things from going to the pigs and going to waste. Right. Because we don't say it really goes to waste because it goes to the compost or it goes to our pigs. Right. But the point is that I would rather it go to my family because food is so doggone expensive that I can't afford to keep giving it to the pigs and putting it in compost. I need to put it in my family's bellies and know that it's there on the shelf when it needs to be. So for me, that pressure canner has made a world of difference. And I'm not just saying that, like I literally just got 2 more. My mom just got me 2 for my birthday because they were on sale, good price. Mm-hmm. And so now I have 2. And then my sister is going to be able to use my old one. And now I have the capability of being able to do and run 2 at a time and have a little bit more capacity because I just physically, that's what I've got.
Right.
Does your pantry go deep back or are you remodeling?
So I'm going to have to find more shelves because this is all full. This is an entire supposedly bedroom closet filled. So
yeah, that's what I was thinking, but you know.
And you do have a football team of families, so I mean,
so, well, I'm losing kids one by one. They're moving out, so but still, the point is that I do feed them.
Coming back and shopping at your house.
You'll be the
don't fall for that.
He is, and it makes me happy to know my 22-year-old literally came over for dinner the other night, and I was like, "Hey, by the way, if you want to take some stuff, I've got stuff in the pantry. Go grab a couple jars. Just bring the jars back when you're done." He's like, "Okay, cool."
Into, I just had my oldest move back in with grandkids.
Things happen, but that's the thing. I want to be accessible to my children, and I want my kids to know that no matter how old they are, whatever they're doing in life, I'm here for them. And if me preserving food for our family is one way I can help them, then I'm going to do it. And I will say the electric pressure canner has made a world of difference for me. And I don't get paid to say that. I'm like,
I get that.
You know.
We wish we did, but we don't.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you, everybody, for coming in. I appreciate it. Everybody that showed up, all the mods, appreciate you guys. This was a good conversation. So please, again, tell everybody your podcast and what days they can look for you. One of you.
Tag, I'm it.
Cayce, you're it.
It's Round the Hay Bale, and it's every Monday at 9 a.m. Central that it comes out. And then we go live on a radio show at 11 a.m. Central on Fridays. And we chat over our podcast. And as Sandi mentioned, we got greenlit for 12 more episodes. So we are going to be doing a fall chit chat all the way through the end of the year. So thank you for having us on.
Yes, thank you.
And hi, Ann, again. Hi, Ann.
Thank you guys for coming. It's much appreciated. Heather, thank you for coming as well. I appreciate it. And BLOO, as always, thanks for being here.
And come check out BLOO. She'll be on our podcast again next week.
Yeah.
For
Part 2.
episode 2 or part 2. Yeah.
Part
Part
2.
two of Rebel
And
Kid.
also for the radio thing.
Oh, you're
on
doing both of them?
I'm doing,
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right. See you guys later. Thank you.
Bye.
Be safe.
Bye.